Namaskar, good morning and very warm welcome to this special session. You are watching special session on content on school leadership development, and we are going to discuss an important aspect which is content development and documentation by school leadership academies. And this program, this special session is available on eVidya channel number 9, 6, 9 and 12, and apart from DTH, you can watch us on NCERT official YouTube channel, where you can interact with our expert during the live session. Apart from NCERT official YouTube channel, you can write us on phone number which is 8800440559, and you can note down our email address as well. The email address is dth.class12@ciet.nic.in. This session is brought to you by National Center for School Leadership, NCSL. NCSL works for leadership development of school leaders and system level functionaries of the government education system in India. NCSL has presence in all the states and UTs through its school leadership academies, and we have Dr. Charu Malik, Assistant Professor, NCSL NEPA, to discuss all the aspect of the subject. Welcome to this session, ma'am.
Thank
Namaskar.
you. Namaskar.
And in this session, my first question is to please tell our viewers the role of NCSL and the work of school leadership academies.
Right. Thank you, Devendra ji. So on this platform, we are doing a special live today on focusing on the school leadership development work, which has a collaboration of both the National Center for School Leadership and the School Leadership Academies, which are present in 29 states and UTs as of now. So our school principals and teachers and the entire education system are working towards the leadership development of our functionaries. They are very well aware of what NCSL stands for, the National Center for School Leadership. We have been in the system for last 10 years, and we have been working on building the leadership capacities of school leaders primarily, as well as developing the systemic capabilities of the the block education system or the district education system, which can support the schools.
Right.
So the center point of our work is, of course, the school and the student. And how do we
and the innovation in the education system.
Right. So school leadership development is in itself an innovation in the way we have thought about the education the transformation and the processes over the years, because leadership development was found to be very critical for quality improvement in schools, and the argument towards this was that a school principal or a school leader needs to be aware and needs to be capable of leading change in the school and leading change in the system thereby. And of course focusing on the student competencies and the student learning aspects. So there are many factors that are contributing to student learning and student competencies, primarily being of course the professional development of the school principal, which is carried forward by the work of NCSL as well as the school leadership academies. Then of course the next parameter in any school transformation is the teacher professional development. The teachers need to be very updated as well as they need to have the essential competencies of transacting the syllabi, as well as so many other aspects of the curriculum that can help in building student competencies.
Definitely, in the changing world, changing world of technology, they also need to be very apt for the new technology and new innovation to the for the education.
Right. So there are many factors in a school process, in a school structure that we are really looking at, and we are constantly developing new programs at both the central level as well as the state level. So that the systems are adaptive to change, and they also are competent to lead changes in the schooling processes, with respect to, let us say, National Education Policy 2020, with respect to the global demands of, building 21st century skills among students, or building competent students, who are employable at a later stage, building skills and competencies for employability, for higher education, because school education is a very important linkage between the school, the home, the schooling, as well as the higher education.
After schooling.
Yes, after schooling.
Also.
So it really supports the base for higher education. And since NEPA has worked extensively in the area of higher education, how does school education build a strong foundation for the students who are entering into higher education or who are entering into the employable market? So these are the major areas of concern when we are developing any material.
Right.
So leadership academies have been established in states and UTs since 2016-17, and now they have become our intellectual partners.
Okay.
Because whatever material we are preparing at the central level, we have an extensive understanding of what is happening latest in the global level as well as the national perspective. But we also have a limitation that we do not have very high experience in terms of what is happening in one of the most remote areas in Tamil Nadu, let us say, or a remote area in Ladakh.
Yes.
So that is where the school leadership academies play an extensive role and a very, very critical role in developing content. Along with the NCSL curriculum framework, where they can bring in their expertise of the field,
right,
and the expertise of processes that are happening in the most remote areas. And how can leadership really contribute to school transformation in let us say, schools which are located in coastal areas of Kerala, or schools that are located in desert areas of Rajasthan,
right,
or schools that are located in border areas in northeast, let us say. So it's a very large field. As you know, India is a very diverse country. So NCSL and the school leadership academies are working collaboratively in developing content, where the National Center for School Leadership is really presenting forward a curriculum framework or a framework that is applicable in a very generic sense across the country. But of course, the SLA is pitching in with its expertise of the field and expertise of microprocesses. So in this line, the leadership academies have done some phenomenal work over the last 3-4 years, and we have almost around 250 to 300 modules that they have developed. So coming back to the title, which kind of says, the content development and documentation by SLAs, and where the context is the text,
right,
which only means that the Leadership Academy has to develop content which is very contextualized.
Right.
Contextualized to the needs and diverse challenges of schools that are located in the particular state or UT.
Right.
So the context will define the content that the Leadership Academy is developing. So you have to understand what is the context of schools in your own state, in your own UT, and how this context can be leveraged to develop leadership capacities of school principals and school heads and even teacher leaders to drive change in the schools. So, and in this context, we've also had a lot of capacity building programs, a lot of training programs on how to write and how to develop modules that are interactive. So, this is some sort of a explanation. This special live is an explanation on how you will develop content through various types. One is writing. Right. Module writing, material development is one category. Right. The other category is encouraging school leaders to develop case studies of their schools and case study of the innovations that they are initiating in their school, or different aspects. We're going to talk about that in detail in this current session. And of course, the third part is the video documentary. So we have a text which is written text, and we also have text which is the video based text that is in the form of a documentary. Right. So content development is essentially involving all these types of different types of content. Right. And then of course we encourage the leadership academies to also develop a policy paper, or a kind of a, let us say, like a white paper on on how the various contexts in the state or UT define the peculiarity of that school education system, and how that can really contribute in influencing the policy as well. So what kind of leadership work that you are doing in your particular state and UT, and how can that influence the policy scenario in your state or UT? So that also is something which is coming within the purview of content.
Right.
And
so I hope that our viewers is now able to understand the role of NCSL. It means National Center for School Leadership, and the School Leadership Academies. What is the role of NCSL and the School Leadership Academies? And now you will be going to understand, as ma'am says, that she is elaborating the whole context.
Yes.
And the whole topic, which is content development, basically.
Right. So let us begin with module writing now. That's the first type of content development, and very critical, because most of the Leadership Academy teams have faculty from DIETs and SCRT, CMATs. And they have done a phenomenal work in terms of module development. So basically, let us just go through each of these titles and see how we can develop a module, or how can we write a module. So for instance, let us pick up this theme, that is setting the vision, mission and roadmap for school transformation or school improvement as a pedagogical leader. Suppose you want to write in an interactive module on what would be the vision for a school leader to be able to transform the school, or the vision of the school leader in context of being a pedagogical change maker, let us say. So it is important to first identify the theme. So that is the brief that we have given to all of you, that you have to first identify what are the top 15 or 20 challenges that the schools are facing in your particular state and UT. It could be related to geographical challenges, socioeconomic diversity of student population. It could be related to some administrative or governance issues. It could be related to leading staff meetings, which are very academic in nature and not just a platform for grievance redressal.
Right.
Or you could be identifying an area that is weak in your state or UT. That could be non-functional school management committees. So there could be many gaps and challenges that your school education system is facing at the present moment. So the first exercise as a core group team would be to first identify what are the issues, what are the areas, what are the challenges.
Yes.
ICT could be one gap area, that schools are not, capable of implementing ICT enabled teaching learning processes. So no, that could be one area. Or for instance, vocational or skill development could be another area. So first identify what are the most critical challenges, issues or gaps in the schools that are functioning in your state or UT. And it's not just about gaps and challenges. You could also identify another set of 10 to 15, let us say, new interventions in the context of NEP 2020 or in the context of the initiatives taken by your state, where new areas of implementation have emerged, such as I just mentioned, vocational or ICT, or how do you prepare preschools within the mandate of Nipun Bharat, or how do you prepare teachers and school leaders for strengthening the foundational learning of students from 3 to 8 years of age. Or for example, large secondary schools, which have enrollment exceeding 3,000. So how do you prepare a school leader? What kind of attributes or qualities a school leader need to, let us say, cultivate and enhance to be able to lead a large secondary school, which has enrollment exceeding 3,000, which has a staff strength of more than 40 teachers. So these are the areas and themes that one has to identify as a school leadership academy team in the context of the schools that are functioning in your school.
Right.
Yes, there are certain issues that have been pressing issues, such as enrollment, retention, children not being able to come to the school, the access issues. But yes, we have to go beyond that now. For instance, are we enabling a school environment where children are coming from all the socio-economic background, such as the equity issues? Do you have an issue which is in terms of learning outcomes? There are only a few children who are performing well, and most of the children are not performing well because of maybe linguistic diversity, maybe because of coming from very remote areas, or coming from very poor socio-economic background. So how do you bring equitable learning outcomes? Could be an area to write a module upon. So how do you make your school system more equitable in terms of learning achievement, in terms of retention of students, in terms of student competencies? So these could be n number of areas that one identifies as a school leadership academy team for a particular state and UT. And then the NCSL normally helps the states. We have regular meetings, so we do help you finalize those themes for module development. So once those themes are finalized, and these themes must also have the name of your state within the title. So this is something that is an important guideline. So for example, the role of school principals in creating inclusive environment in secondary schools of Haryana.
Okay.
So that is an important guideline, that each title will have the name of the state or the UT that the module is representing. So that becomes an important aspect. Let us say the impact of geographical conditions on schools and leadership in Ladakh. That is another title. Then we also have, let us say, the role of school leadership in retaining backward children in Yavatmal district in the stream of education in slum areas in Maharashtra.
Right.
So you have a lot of modules that have already been created on these various themes, but the idea is that you cover all the aspects in your state UT that the school education system is standing for, right? You can also create modules on school administration and finance. In fact, Haryana has come up with a full handbook on leading school administration and leading school finance in schools in Haryana. So that's a very big contribution coming from Haryana. Then Nagaland has created let us say a resource material on CPD for school leaders. So the NEP 2020 has mandated 50 hours of continuous professional development for school principals. So they have come up with something known as a CPD diary for school leaders, which actually defines these 50 hours and how can the school leaders understand and how can they move ahead in the matrix of completing 50 hours every single year. Right. So these are certain useful resource books, materials, modules in different formats that can be developed by the School Leadership Academy. So what is the purpose basically? The purpose is that once these modules and interactive materials are constructed by the School Leadership Academy, this is going to be uploaded on both the Leadership Academy portal, which is their specific state UT portal, as well as on the NCSL NIPA portal,
okay,
and is available for the entire country. So maybe
it can be helpful. It can be a handbook for another state or
yes,
another school
yes,
system.
Yes, yes. So that is something which is very critical, because every school principal gets access to the modules and materials generated by all the
academies.
Right. So that becomes very important, because everybody is really focusing on different aspects. Someone is focusing on soft skills, someone is focusing on leadership competencies, attributes. So maybe a module or a material on, let us say, creative leadership, right, or pedagogical leadership that has been developed by a few leadership academies can be useful for understanding by different school leaders who are present across the country.
Right.
And the modules and interactive and materials have to be generated in your own Indian language. So Telangana is developing in Telugu.
Okay.
Tamil Nadu, it is going to be in Tamil, and the entire Hindi belt develops materials and modules in Hindi. So it is strongly encouraged that these modules and materials are developed in the Indian languages.
Okay.
And states, peculiarly in Northeast or in, for example, in other areas, they can also develop in English.
English, okay.
Yes. So we have a good variety of English, Hindi as well as other Indian languages that are strongly encouraged.
So in this process, it is important to understand the challenges and the issues they face, or their state or UTs face, different school in the states face.
Yes, yes.
And if any kind of challenge and issue you face, and you make a documentation on that and take an innovation to overcome these challenges,
right?
So will be definitely helpful in other states and
yes. And I think what you just said right now, if we now we'll now move ahead in terms of how to write.
Right.
So because that will give more clarity of how to do it, how to make it possible.
Right.
So for instance, if you have chosen a particular topic which really talks about, how does a school principal develop a strong collaborative vision for changing the school processes.
Okay.
In, let us say, in Meghalaya, for instance, So how will you develop that module? Let us go through it step by step.
Right.
So these are not purely text-based modules where only theory is written. NCSL stands for very rich practitioner-centric materials. And whatever we have been developing at the central level is also very practitioner-centric and very rich in terms of what the field offers.
Right.
So, because you have to make this module, if you are writing this particular module, you have to make it relevant
and useful.
And useful for school principals in Meghalaya.
Right.
So, in Meghalaya, what is the school size on an average? Understand that first. Are you writing this module or interactive material for secondary schools in Meghalaya or for elementary schools in Meghalaya?
Right.
Okay, once you identify it is the secondary school system that you are addressing, then this interactive piece of material, or what you call as a traditional module, will have a lot of case studies. You can also use video clippings that are relevant for this topic. You can use newspaper clippings in these document that you are writing.
Yeah.
You could also use reflective questions for school leaders. You could use reference. The module has to end with a list of references like we have it in any academic article.
Right.
And it can also have hypothetical case studies, hypothetical situations to address. So basically these modules are written on a Word document. They are typed on a Word document, but they also have a lot of interactive interface, which could be video-based interactive interface. It could be reflective questions for the school principals after every section that follows. So let us go through this a bit more in detail. So suppose this is the title,
right,
that how does a school leader create a strong collaborative vision,
right,
for leading secondary schools in Meghalaya.
Right.
So maybe you could start with a clear-cut, focused introduction in terms of what this module is going to consist of. You can also begin with a graphic or an image, and then explain that what a school leader is doing. Maybe the graphic or an image is of a school principal who is addressing the morning assembly.
Right.
So you can just begin with that photograph also.
So make it very relevant, make
Yes.
it very acceptable to each and everyone who
Yes.
who is the stakeholder of this process.
Absolutely.
Need to be frame the whole documentary
Right.
or content development process
Right.
in this
Right. In this way.
Yeah.
So that would be your introduction. Then a few lines on what leadership is, what school leadership, what do we understand by school leadership, what do we understand by vision, and why it is important for a school principal to develop a collaborative vision. And what do we understand by collaborative vision development? So you can also show a small visual where a school principal is discussing with the entire stakeholder community, which has the teachers, the students and the community members, on developing a collaborative vision. Because it is very easier said than done. That develop a collaborative vision, but generally school principals, they do it independently, which is not a correct method. So you can also show a small video clip where a collaborative vision development exercise is taking place, and then begin the next section. So maybe a small introduction, then a few very important focused learning objectives. What are the 3 learning objectives that this module seeks to address in the context of school principals? Then you can divide the interactive module in 4 to 5 sections. Maybe the first section you're talking about what do we understand by school leadership, what do we understand by vision development, what is the difference between just plain vision development and collaborative vision development. Then you can perhaps give some examples of visuals, then provide some reflective questions. What do you see in this visual? What characteristics of vision development can you draw from this visual? What do you need to do if you want to make this as a collaborative exercise? So on and so forth.
It can be also that how one can add any other aspect in this in this documentation.
Right.
In the initial part also.
Yes. So then maybe perhaps come to the section 2, where you can showcase a case study of a secondary school in Meghalaya where a principal has been able to take along the entire school processes and the journey of school transformation, but very much linked with the vision, the collaborative vision that he or she had developed along with the stakeholders. So you can give a case study of a school in Meghalaya in the interactive module. That could be section 2. Then section 3 could be in terms of providing a small exercise to the school leaders that diagnose the situation of your school currently. What are the points therein? Then how will you develop a vision for your own school? Because ultimately this interactive module is being read by the principals. So the School Leadership Academy is developing these interactive contents, but it is being read and taken by the school principals. So in section 3 you can perhaps develop a small to-do exercise for the school principal. You must also put in a lot of your own input. You can refer to some good research material on school leadership and vision development. You can refer to books. You can refer to journal articles. Journal articles are now available freely on Google as well. So with proper referencing, you can decide a style of referencing for your module as well. It could be the APA style referencing or any other. So maybe a section 3 can be content, knowledge based section, where you are referring to different research material and writing 2-3 pages on what are the various aspects of vision development. How does a school leader go ahead with that? And what are the essential characteristics and attributes of a school principal if he or she wants to lead a collaborative vision development exercise. And section 4 could be in terms of again a to-do exercise for the school principals. You can also if you are a module writer, then you can also make a small 1 or 2 minute video clip on how to approach this module. And you can also put that as a link in the module towards the end, and then the end of the module you can sum it up with a good conclusion and proper references. So this is a format of an interactive module. Interactive in the sense that it can be used as a self-instructional reading material, as well as it can be accessed online. And if it can be accessed online, it can be full of video clips, it can be full of case studies, graphics. So for instance, I still remember a very amazing module that was developed by Maharashtra in terms of how school principals are creating inclusive schools in the context of children belonging to the red light area in Maharashtra.
Okay.
And they had used very good graphics as well as the proper data. You can also do data analysis as well.
Research work and
yes, you can do data analysis in terms of, let us see that in Maharashtra, how many schools are single teacher schools, or how many schools are double teacher schools. So you can also present a data analytics in terms of tabular form or a graphical representation of data on that particular theme that you are addressing in a module.
Right.
So you can begin with data analysis as well,
so
in one of the sections.
This Maharashtra module is available on the internet?
Yes, yes. So all the modules that have been developed are accessed. You can access them through the NEPA website, NCSL website,
okay.
Where you have that as part of the repository.
Okay.
And you can also access it through the online PSLM website, the Program on School Leadership and Management, the online program. There all these modules and materials are available.
Okay.
So, so in that sense, you can use, for example, if there is a module on school leadership for strengthening the foundational learning or foundational literacy and numeracy amongst children, let us say in for example, in Maharashtra or in any state, for example, in Jharkhand, So there it is important first, you have to give a comprehensive understanding of what the status of FLN is in the state of Jharkhand.
Right.
So maybe another way of starting an interactive module could be just after the introduction in the section 1 you can present a comprehensive data analysis of your state, and then ask some reflective questions from school principals, that do you know of this data, or do you know the levels of foundational literacy and numeracy in your state. So you can have a small quiz right at the beginning of the section 1, and then come to section 2 where you are explaining what foundational literacy and numeracy is and how is it part of the larger understanding on foundational learning. Then what kind of infrastructural resource support is required by a school leader to lead a preschool which strengthens FLN. How do you prepare your teachers for better preschool activities. You can discuss that in detail. You can also refer to certain materials that have been developed by NCERT. You can refer to some video clips that have been developed on FLN. There's a huge repository that is available on the national portals. So you can do all of that, and then what do you need to do? In section 4 could be like what do you need to do as a school principal to effectively implement FLN in your school in let us say the district of Gumla in Jharkhand, for example. So basically the interactive module has to have references that are available to you through open resources, open sources of education, as well as have a very strong presence of field reality, so that these materials and modules that you develop, they have a right balance of theory as well as practice, because then only it will be relevant for a school leader. A school leader will not like to read a module on an interactive piece of material that has only theory. In fact, that would be the least interest. But yes, at the same time, school principals also need to have a good knowledge base. You can also develop another module. Let us say you are developing a module for skill-based and vocational education for secondary school students.
Right.
In let us say UP. So how would you do that in terms of let us say you have some national portals that are available, like the National Skill Digital Portal that is available, or the National Career Service Portal that is available. So you can also develop a module where there is a rich repository of all the websites, all the portals that offer skill-based opportunities to students. Imagine how interesting and relevant that would become for secondary school graduates. In fact, we just completed 2 rounds of training in Uttar Pradesh and for secondary school principals.
Okay.
And that was something which was really a demand from the field, and it had high resonance only because children and students who are studying in secondary schools need to get exposed to various platforms that are giving them opportunities for employment, So you can have a module such as that in terms of where you have all the internet resources that you can offer to the school principals on that particular theme. You can have a separate module for, let us say, leading ICT-enabled teaching learning processes in elementary schools in Madhya Pradesh. So, you can develop areas like that. There are other topics I would just briefly like to discuss in terms of Kerala had developed certain materials on disaster management, on how school leaders can prepare for disaster management. And that is something that
it is very relevant in coastal areas,
yes,
where the cyclones hits oftenly,
yes,
and the hilly areas
and the hilly areas as well. So in fact Uttarakhand had also developed materials on that line,
right,
other than many other themes, of course.
Yes, Arunachal Pradesh,
yes,
Himachal, Jammu Kashmir.
Yes, so that becomes an important area that you can work upon.
Right.
So how does school leadership prepare for disaster management,
Right.
And what are the different alternatives available for continuing with schooling processes despite disasters?
Disasters and continuous weather disruptions.
Yes, yes, either man-made or natural.
Right.
So that has been a consistent theme across many school leadership academies. Then we also come across areas such as gender inequality. So how do school leaders address gender inequality?
Right.
That has been an area for Rajasthan, that has been an area in Madhya Pradesh as well. So that is one theme that has again emerged as important, and of course very important even nationally. Then we also have, since NCSL has also collaborated with Ministry of Tribal Affairs, we also have schools that are Eklavya model residential schools of MOTA that are existing across the country. So school leadership academies are also now kind of being encouraged that at least one interactive module needs to be developed for children who are studying in tribal areas, and either in generic government schools or in schools that have been established by different ministries, such as the ashram schools or the Eklavya model residential schools. And other than that, you can take up a very diverse area of work that is critical, such as learning outcomes, for instance. So right. how does learning outcome or how does a school leader improve the learning outcomes of children who are coming from poor socioeconomic background? Or what role does diversity have to play in the achievement of learning levels of students, and then how a school leader can prepare the school in such a way that that happens. There are many other issues such as staff meeting. This will also be there coming, when we are going to discuss very briefly about video documentation. So how does a school leader conduct a very fruitful, productive staff meeting that has an academic agenda? That should be the main focus, of any staff meeting.
And this is nowadays, after COVID-19, it is very relevant and very used to.
Yes, yes.
So, as you were saying that the meaning should be focused, that this should be fruitful.
Yes, yes, it should be fruitful, and it should also hinge upon issues that are critical in academic achievement of students. So what kind of suppose you have created a school development plan which also has an academic plan for every teacher. So how does a school principal monitor and supervise the learning achievement of students across all classes, across all subjects in that particular school? So perhaps one module can be developed on that as well. So it really equips the school principal in understanding, you know, that what is the role of a principal in leading a productive staff meeting, you know, which is academic in nature.
And I hope that this kind of model will be helpful across the country.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Across the country.
Yes, absolutely.
And because this practice should be followed in every school.
Right, right, right. So, and this will really have a lot of positive impact on the entire schooling outcome, entire schooling outcome.
Yes.
So, how does a school principal communicate with all the stakeholders in the school? So, maybe a module can be developed on that, you know, in terms of communication skills. Maybe there are certain schools, you know, where conflicts are recurring. So how does a school leader, you know, do conflict resolution? What are the various types of conflict management strategies, you know, that can be used by school principals? Right. So, you know, in that module, you can have case studies, you can have video clippings, and you can have a lot of knowledge content in terms of what are the different types of communication that we know of in research, and how do these different strategies are going to, you know, how are they going to help you in resolving the conflicts amongst your staff, and, you know, bringing them back into the vision.
Into the vision of the school.
Yes. So that is there, and yes, a focus has to be there on learning outcomes, you know. So if you are finalizing the title of the module, it should lead to some purpose. That must be very clear while you are writing it, while you are defining it, or while you are articulating it. The purpose must be very clear, because the purpose at the national level, it is very clear in terms of that the school is functioning for the learning levels of students, you know. The learning outcomes are important and critical. So if a school leader is able to effectively manage conflicts, it will definitely have an impact on the learning culture of the students. So whichever module or material you are developing on whichever theme, towards the end, when you are concluding, or when you are summing it up, or when you are giving the school principals to do exercises, it must be very clear that how this entire thing is going to contribute to the improvement of learning culture in the schools, how this is going to contribute to improvement in learning levels, how will it help in the achievement of learning outcomes by students, so on and so forth.
Yes.
So this has to be kept in mind. There are many states and UTs, in fact Jammu and Kashmir had developed material on cyber safety and security. Haryana had did it, and many other pressing issues such as drug abuse and so many other things, especially you know, a few states had also developed modules on how does a school principal tackle issues of child sexual harassment. So that also has some you know, resonance.
The resonance, and the content can be developed on this issue also.
Yes.
Because this kind of content, this kind of documentaries will help other schools and other academies also.
Yes, yes.
And so how many school level leaders academies are associated, or how many states and UTs are associated with NCSL?
So
in this process?
At present there are 27 states and 2 UTs. One is JNK and Ladakh, the second one. So there are 29 states and UTs that are very successfully, in fact, running these school leadership academies. So a lot of material they have created, and this was just a platform to kind of really rediscuss what we have been discussing at length on different platforms, on how to create modules that are relevant for practitioners who are practicing in your state and UT, you know. So that becomes very important. You have to keep that in mind. So once again, I'm just going to sum it up in terms of, if you are a writer and you are writing the module or an interactive material, please keep in mind that you have a balance of theory and practice. In fact, the percentage of practice has to be more than theory.
Right.
So theory can have the knowledge component belonging to that theme.
Right.
And practice needs to have a lot of case studies, visuals, graphics, newspaper clippings, reflective questions. You need to have inbuilt reflective questions in every section of the module. because whatever content one is writing, it must make the school principal think, reflect.
Right.
Reflect on what you are doing as a school principal.
Right.
In this context, right?
Right. So one thing is should be keep in mind that this content is have to meaningful.
It has to be meaningful, and
not
it has
only
to be,
it is a principal document, and it should be practical document.
it should be a practical document, definitely, but it should also have knowledge content, because
Yes.
sometimes we have the risk of making something which is very superfluous.
Yes.
So yes, I mean, one needs to also have gravity
In the content.
in the document, and you can also refer to modules that have been developed under Nishtha. You can also, we are going to develop now in this financial year some material, a monitoring handbook for Nipun Bharat as well. So there is a lot of reference in the NCSL's work that you can refer to. But yes, it has to be practitioner centric, and it has to be meaningful for the school principal. So if you're writing a module and the principal is reading it, after the principal has read that interactive module, the principal must be able to really get up from the chair and start doing the work.
Right.
So you have to really motivate and inspire the principals through your writing to be able to become change agents just at that very moment. And I'm sure many of them are change agents. You just have to inspire them and motivate them to be able to do much better. You can also develop modules on school leaders as reflective practitioners, because we feel that in the context of school leadership, the top two competencies of any leader are being reflective practitioner, number one, and number two, being an effective communicator.
Right.
So these two competencies are very critical. So you can also develop a module on the most essential competencies that are required by the school leader.
Okay, I would like to ask a question that is there any communication, interactive communication system, if any school leadership academy or any school leader or principal want to know thoroughly how to make this documentation process?
Yes, so we do regular meetings with them and with module writers. But the idea is the philosophy needs to be very clear. Why are we writing this interactive piece of material? We are writing this not just as our role as a faculty, but we are doing academics for practitioners. And that is what NCSL and NEPA and NCERT have all stood for, that this is the platform where the academics exists for the practitioners. So you have to write as an academic who is involving the practitioner into the document. So that must be the clear purpose on how you're writing it. So that is one, and of course, we have been telling this, that all the documents have to carry the logo of NCSL, NEPA, as well as the School Leadership Academy of that particular state and UT.
Right.
And that also has to happen while you're developing the video documentary. So that is something which is critical.
Right.
And whoever are the writers, the module writers, the modules will carry their names, their designations, so that we have a good, we can identify, as well as we have a good repository at all levels, at the central level as well as the state level. So keep these points in mind. I think this is something that that has been the real message for this particular session. Just two or three quick things about case study development and video documentaries. Case study, now since over the past few years, Telangana has prepared some brilliant case study documents, and they can be accessed through the website. Then they have tried to bring in themes to each case study. So when you are calling case studies from different school principals in your state and UT, then keep that in mind, that the case study must be accompanied with photographs, video clippings, with what they have done, what are the strategies they have used, as well as their full name of the school. And you can also give a creative title to the case study, so that because normally with case studies what happens is that every state is developing around 50 to 70 case studies per year.
Okay.
So it's a huge number. And how do we identify one case study from the other? So please provide creative titles to case studies.
Okay.
And give proper name, email ID, and the mobile phone number of the school principal.
Right.
So this is a very clear message for all the leadership academies, because when we collate these case studies, they go beyond 500 and 600. So it is important for us to also create a relevant database. We are also developing a separate website for the leadership academies, and that should be soon out in this current year.
So definitely it will be a very innovative way to accumulate all the data available across the states and UTs.
Yes, yes. And I think the real purpose why we are developing this content is to really keep the school principals updated on what is happening at all levels, globally as well as nationally. You can also refer to global documents in these modules. Basically, it's a very creative enterprise, and you have the entire autonomy to pick up material from across the world, from across the national level, as well as what is happening in your own field, and give some practical tips to principals on how to how to bring about that particular change, or how to create that vision, or how to develop mechanisms for retaining children in elementary schools. How do you provide millions of opportunities to students at secondary level for employability? Maybe perhaps you can write a module on, for secondary school principals, on how do they develop the students in secondary schools to avail of the higher education opportunities. You can give them exposure to a website like National Career Service Portal. Nobody really knows about this, but then it has opportunities which are in hundreds in terms of the career opportunities that can be available to any student in the country. So how do you bring in this entire expertise and the knowledge base and make it simplified to be able to reach to the last school principal or the last school in the country, So how do you make that happen? That is the responsibility of a module writer in the School Leadership Academy, and that is a most important responsibility. So this is about the module development. Then we have video documentaries, and then we also have case studies. So I've talked to you about module development as well as case studies. Just 2 minutes on video documentation. School Leadership Academies have developed excellent video documentaries. Must have the logo of NEPA. You can also include the logo of the Ministry of Education as well as your own state UT logo. The video documentaries must capture the school processes. Very, very critical. Not really in terms of infrastructural improvements. Yes, that is a part of school transformation, but more focus on school processes. You can capture, you can capture teaching learning processes. You can capture students who are expressing what they have learned. That's a most powerful way of really expressing the impact of leadership. Because this is something that we have been saying off and on, that leadership is not what the leader says, that I've done this and that, but leadership is actually assessed when the students are performing well, or when the students have gained those competencies.
Definitely.
So that is where the leadership is reflected. So if in your school, if the students have gained maximum competencies and they are confident students, that in itself is the evidence of good leadership. So rather than really the leader in the video documentary, the leader must not be saying that, I have done this and I have done that. You must rather, document the evidences of what does the community have to say about your school? What does the school management committee have to say about your school? What have your students achieved? Let them express themselves, and you capture the students, the student voice. Because student voice is really the evidence of your leadership.
Your leadership and your work.
And your work. So that would be an excellent...
Any video to show?
We can, but I don't know if we have enough time. But these videos are all available on the PSLM website as well as the NCSL website.
You can access these videos, and these videos definitely will be helpful for making you to videos.
Yes, yes. So for further development of video documentaries, and please keep that in mind, you know, that leadership is beyond authority.
Yes.
So in any of your video documentaries, the school principal must not really be sitting on the chair,
Yes.
but be on the move and supervising the school and supervising the academic processes, as well as informally talking with your students and teachers, and creating a happy learning environment, you know. So leadership in itself is an act of influence, and that is beyond authority.
And
so
it is a very important responsibility and accountable job. So this was a special session on content development and documentation by School Leadership Academies. Thank you so much, Charu ma'am.
Thank you
for detailing this process, and I hope definitely the School Leadership Academies will get insight for the documentation process and documentaries. And before winding up, I would like to give you an important information regarding e-content. CIET NCERT is happy to announce the All India Children's Educational e-content competition for this year. If you are a teacher, educator, student or independent educational e-content creator, we invite you to send in your best e-content for the competition. For more details and the registration form, you can visit the activity section of our official website, that is www.ciet.ncert.gov.in, or you can scan the QR code which is displaying on the screen. The last date for the sending your entry is January 10, 2024. With this, I would like to say thanks all of you to stay with us, and I would like to say you to be with us for further sessions on education and awareness. Thank you so much.